In this video, we'll be talking about what happens during the cardiac cycle. First step is when blood comes into the superior vena cava, which then the SA node, also known as the pacemaker node, makes an electrical charge to allow blood to fill inside the right atrium. And on the PQRST wave is when the atrials depolarize. The next step is when the blood goes from the right atrium and goes to the right ventricle, passing through the tricuspid valve and the chordae tendineae. And on the PQRST wave, it is when the AV node delays to allow the ventricles to fill with blood. The next step is when the blood then goes through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary trunk and then goes out through the pulmonary artery so the blood goes to the lungs and gets oxygenated. And on the PQRST wave, it is when the QRS complex happens and the ventricles begin to depolarize, which trigger the main pumping contraction. The next step is when the blood returns from the lungs oxygenated and goes in through the pulmonary vein and into the left atrium, which then passes through the bicuspid valve, which allows the blood to fill into the left ventricle. The final step is when the left ventricle sends the blood up through the aorta, and the aorta sends the blood and distributes it throughout the whole body. And the PQRST wave, it is when the ventricles begin to repolarize. And that is what happens during the cardiac cycle. Thank you. The end.